Folks, it is Monday, which means it's time for Monday Night Nerd. It is July 6th. It has been a good week. I hope you're doing well. I don't know what it is with this show, but I can prep everything as best I can. I can get all my notes ready. I can get all my photos and stuff ready. I can get this show ready to go, so I just have to press a button. And something always happens where I'm running at the last minute. I had everything set up, and then something happened that it's nothing to do with the show, but just took my mind away from this. And I've just been dealing with that for the past half hour, and now I'm like, oh yeah, I have to do the show. Oh, it's every single Monday. Whatever. We're here. We're happy. I hope you're doing good. If this is your first time joining us here on YouTube or on TikTok, my name is Myers Corp Cosplay, and this is my podcast. We do this every single week, Monday at 7 p.m., and we talk about nerdy things. We talk about music, movies, cosplay, video games, and a whole lot more. Tonight's topic was going to be something completely different, but based off Sony's news, I figured this would be a perfect title and a perfect topic to talk about my top 15 PlayStation 2 games, because PlayStation 2 was my first PlayStation console and I've got some great memories with it. So we're going to talk about it tonight, as well as a whole bunch of news. I hope you all have had a great week so far. It has been a good week for me. Saturday was supposed to be a little better, and we were going to be doing a photo shoot. I was going to be getting a photo shoot done in Darius with my good friend Edith, who, if you saw at Anime North, has also an amazing League of Legends cosplay. We've been waiting weeks to do it, and we had it scheduled with the photographer. Everything was good, and then we checked the weather that morning, and it said it was going to pour rain all day, especially at the time we booked for the photo shoot. So we canceled the photo shoot, and it was bone dry sunny all day. I don't know what it's been this week, but it has just been all over the place weather, and we haven't really been able to plan anything properly. So we've rescheduled it, and we will be getting that done, I believe, in 2 weeks. So I'm very excited to finally get that done, because I want to get some good photos of that, and I want to see some good photos of her, because she put a ton of work in her into her League of Legends cosplay. We have a lot of news to talk about, including the one that, kind of dictated where this episode was going. But there's also a whole lot of other stuff. So if you'd like to, we can hop over to the newsy news. Live from the multiverse, it's Monday Night News. We are here with the news, folks. And folks, if you're on TikTok and you are tuning into the show, I greatly appreciate it. If you want to be a part of the conversation, hop over to @MondayNightNerd on YouTube. That is where I'm watching the chat. Like, we got some fellow friends in the chat. We've got Pretty Nerdy Crystal, we got Boomster Joe, we got Noah, we got Marcy. We are doing good. Good evening, Mike, and all good evening to you. PS2 was also my first console. Ooh, interesting. And I loved my PS2. Yeah, there's a lot of love for this console, and I'm very excited to talk about my 15 favorite games. But first, we have to talk about the news, and tonight we had a good amount of stories, but then at the last minute, something came up that I needed to talk about, because I'm a big fan of both of these properties, and I messaged Noah, and I messaged Crystal, and I messaged Dave Thorne, who's been on the show before, and pretty much said, I need a new pair of shorts after reading this. Judge Dredd and the Biker Mice from Mars are about to have a comic book crossover. Yes, the 2000 AD universe is going to be crossing over with a whole bunch of different properties, and the first one on the docket is the Biker Mice from Mars. They're doing a book coming out in the next few months, and they're also going to be doing new toy lines for both of those properties. I am a huge fan of both of those properties. If you know my cosplay, I do have a Judge Dredd cosplay that I absolutely love. I will be doing some updates to that because I want to bring that back out into the world. And also, I'm a big Biker Mice from Mars fan. I actually have the vest over there with the logo on the back. I've been a huge fan of that property forever, so having them both collide is going to be a lot of fun. Looks like there's going to be 3 covers on the first issue, and then they're going to be working through the rest of them over the next year. And there's going to be a bunch of other Judge Dredd crossovers coming up in the next little while. So if you're a Dredd fan, you're going to have a lot of fun this coming summer. If you're a cosplayer and you are looking to up your cosplay game, this is not a sponsor. This is not a plug. This is just something that I do all the time, so I thought I should let you guys know. If you don't know about Humble Bundle, This is an organization that gets a whole bunch of different items together into a bundle, and you buy that bundle digitally for a very, very, very discounted value, and part of your donation goes towards a charity. They have programs for your computer, like if you're into 3D rendering or anything like that. They've also got video games, so if you're looking for some Steam games and stuff, I believe they had an Assassin's Creed one recently where they had all the Assassin's Creed. They've had Resident Evil on there, but I usually look for books, and specifically books because they usually once in a while they have a cosplay bundle, and I've been purchasing it for the past 4 or 5 of them because what you get from that is very, very useful. This bundle, you get 32 items for $25 Canadian and 62 cents on that. It is books and EVA foam patterns. So you get a bunch of books that different cosplayers have written over the years, and you also get some EVA foam patterns. The EVA foam patterns are usually Kamui cosplay, which if you know me, I use her patterns a lot for my foam cosplay. This month they have swords and shields. They have some male breastplates. They have some female breastplates. They have pouches in there. I'm sorry, Noah. If you're looking for pouches, don't get this bundle. Go to @Freakish Workshop and get his patterns because he does better ones. But a whole bunch of fun stuff. I've, like I said, ordered the past 4 over the past few years. I'm now up to about 80 books for different cosplay, and that's cosplay books that are about foam, about stitching, sewing, about pattern making, about 3D printing, Photoshop, and all this other stuff. It is really good bundle, and I probably have 40 patterns out of it. Go check it out, humblebundle.com, I believe. It might be humblebundle.ca. I'm not 100%, but yeah, I believe it's really worth the money. Like I said, I think I've spent probably about 120, 130 bucks over the years, and I've got a giant collection of stuff now that I can reference and go back to if I ever need it. So just putting it out there for fellow cosplayers. Like I said, this isn't a sponsor. This isn't a, go do this because I'm being paid to. I just always do it. So if I do it, I think you guys should probably do it too. Let's talk quickly about movie reviews because I saw 2 movies this weekend, and then we're going to jump into the main news topic, which will lead into our main event. Movie reviews. I saw Supergirl again. I saw it originally at the premiere in Toronto, but because I have friends out there who've told me they want to see it, I said, I don't mind seeing it again. So we went to go see it. What was my thoughts on the second viewing of Supergirl? I thought it was just as good. It wasn't, I wasn't really able to dislike it anymore or like it any more than I did when I first saw it. I do see the problems of it as I did with the first run. I still think Ruthie, the sidekick, is kind of annoying in this movie. I said that in the first time I saw it. Recently, I believe it today or yesterday, an article did come out saying that James Gunn and his team did jump in at the end after the first initial screening of the movie it didn't go that well. So there is a little bit of James Gunn in here. I can totally see that. There was something I didn't really want to talk about on the first viewing, but I don't mind talking about it now. There is a kill in the movie that when you see it, it feels very disjointed. It feels like it was cut awkwardly. So if you've ever watched a movie that shows a lot of kills, there's a couple different ways to frame it. There's usually one where you just see all of it. There's some where you see just maybe part of you see maybe like, say it's a beheading, you'll see like the shoulders down and you'll just see like the body fall, or you'll see someone's reaction. This is kind of like all of those quickly cut together, but you don't see it actually happen. So when I saw that, even the first time, I was like, that was cut weird. And I'm not there are a ton of reviewers out there that will do movie reviews and will just nitpick and be like, this was shot weird and I don't like the framing of this. I'm not that type of reviewer. I just watch movies because I like watching movies. I'm not going to rip them apart. But that specifically jumped out at me and looked odd. So that makes a lot of sense now that James Gunn did jump in. Whether he cut that weird or something, it just felt like maybe 2 people's visions colliding in a scene. So I think it's a fine movie. As I said last time, like I said, I don't think it's a absolute horrible movie. Go see it if you're a DC fan. Do not think this is going to be Endgame quality. This is not, an incredible movie. It's a fun movie. I had fun watching it, and I think you will too. Shinobi, think PS2 was my 7th console, not including Commodore 64, Amiga, and PC. Commodore 64, bringing me back to that one. And the other movie I saw was Toy Story 5. I've been obviously a big Toy Story fan, as most of us have. One of my first times going to the theater was seeing Toy Story when I was a kid. I've seen all of them in theater, every single one, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Think 5 as a solid addition to the franchise. I know everyone had a lot of people had problems with 4. I didn't really enjoy it as much. I still enjoyed it because it's Buzz, Woody, and the friends doing, fun stuff, but I think 3 put him on such a good pedestal that 4, unless they were going to do something exactly like that or have that type of gravitas to it and that type of weight, it wasn't going to be as well. 5 comes close. It doesn't have the exact same weight behind it, but it does do a good job, and especially with what the story is. And the story, I don't think this is spoilers because they've kind of talked about it throughout the press junket and kind of in the trailer. This is a very Jessie story, so if you're not a fan of Jessie as a character, you're not going to like this movie. But I do think Jessie's a great character, especially with the background that we know, and we find out a little bit more about that in this movie. And I think they do a great job, and I especially think they do a great job because it is a Jessie story, and Buzz and Woody play kind of secondary characters. They're not totally not in the movie. They do play a main part in it, but traditionally the Buzz and Woody relationship has been Toy Story, and now we're kind of seeing other characters like Jessie. There is a very good line that I think Ham or Mr. Potato Head says where Buzz and Woody, as always, are arguing with each other, and I can't remember which one, but one of them says, "It's nice to see them fighting again." And I kind of chuckled out loud in that. I'm like, you know what? It is really nice to see Buzz and Woody fighting again, because they kind of seem like they were fighting a little bit in 4, but they were still trying to be friends. This one, they kind of go at each other's throats a bit, and I'm like, yeah, it does kind of feel good to see it again. If you have kids, if you have nieces and nephews, you should really watch this movie, in my opinion, because this really is a very good understanding of, again, I'm not spoiling the movie, it's in the poster. This is where tech is involved. Tech is the main antagonist in the movie, and it's a really good story of, as a parent, as a guardian, how much tech do you give to your child? How much should they be allowed to see the world through tech? And it's not preachy, which I appreciate, because I think that's a topic, no matter what side of the fence you're on, you could be very preachy about it. It's not. It's a very understanding that everybody's relationship is different, but this specific person that's involved in the tech, it plays specifically to, that person. I really liked it, and I think one of the best additions to the movie is what I'm going to call play world, and that is when the kids are playing with the toys, it kind of goes into like an alternate reality of what the actual scenario is. So like if two toys are fighting, you actually see them move, and you don't see like the hands moving. You see them actually like fighting with each other, and it's in sort of this crayon type background, which I really think is a great addition to the series. Overall, I give it an 8 out of 10. If you've liked any other of the Toy Stories, I definitely suggest you go see that. If you have kids, I definitely think you should go see it. They do a great job. It's great to see Buzz, Woody, and the gang back again, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do a 6th one, because it ended well, but it's not a period. Like 3, I think when it ended and Andy gives up the toys, I think that's one thing, but I think this one doesn't end that way, so you can easily make a 6th one. And I think with the success of 5, we're probably going to do the 6th one. In chat, we got Boomster Joe saying, I really want to see Toy Story 5. I recommended. Nerdy Crystal says, Gavin really liked it. However, he wants a lily pad. No. Who do we have? We got Brian in chat. I hope to see more high-tech Buzz maybe in the short film. They were my favorite part of the film. The high-tech Buzz is really fun. I really enjoyed that. That part, I'd heard that it didn't make sense. I saw some reviewers say that it did, that whole section of the movie didn't make sense. I'm like, no, it makes total sense. I loved it. There's two references. I won't say what it is, but cracked me up. Agreed. The post-credit scene I really enjoyed. I was waiting for something, and the way it ended, I was like, oh, I'm excited. I think they'll do good with it. But yeah, definitely go see Toy Story 5. All right, let me take a swig of water because this is going to be a long discussion. I promise it won't be too long because we still have 15 games to get through. All right, let's talk about PlayStation. So the news this week that I think we all are aware of if we're in the video game world at all, PlayStation put out a blog post saying that as of January 2027, they will no longer be producing discs for the PlayStation, which means basically going forward as of January 2027, any game that comes out will be digital, and if you went to a store to pick it up, it would just have a code. It would not have a disc. Okay, now, everybody under the sun is talking about this. Everybody under the sun has an opinion about this. I would say from what I've read, about 95% have one way, 5% have another way. For those who are new and don't know me personally, I am very good at seeing both sides of most arguments. And I'm not someone who's going to sit on the fence, but I can at least see both arguments. And this is a similar discussion. This does not surprise me because traditionally, over the past probably decade, we have gone mostly digital. Besides books, this is kind of the last physical medium we can get. Movies, music, all are basically digital. You can get DVDs, you can get Blu-rays, you can get CDs, you can get vinyl, and some of those are getting more popular than others. But for the most part, it is pretty much a digital world now when it comes to most medium. Which means if you are a company that produces these things, the cost is going up. Which means, for example, if you're a maker of DVDs or a maker of CDs, you would give someone a better cost if they ordered 10,000 than 1,000. So if you're PlayStation, you're going to pay twice as much if you only ordered a limited amount than if you bought, 10,000. And that also falls into shipping costs, design costs, and all that other stuff. Now, are they right to do this? No, I don't agree with it. First off, and this is something I think that everyone needs to remind PlayStation about, this needed to be more than a blog post. This is the analogy of being a mother and father, going to your kid's house and saying, "Hey kids, I really appreciate dinner. By the way, we're divorcing. We got to go." This should not have been a blog post. It is way too big of an impact and way too big of a topic to just do a paragraph. I'm sorry, that was the biggest fumble of them all. I think that if Sony came out and did what they should have done and said, we're going to do a state of play and we're going to explain our reasoning for it and explain, do an hour to a half hour of talking to the CEO and blah, 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 I think it would have been taken a lot better. Not perfect, 100%. I'm not saying that would have solved their problem. But just putting out a one-paragraph post on your blog, that's a bad choice. That was their first bad choice. Second, if it is a production cost problem, if this is costing us way too much money, they're not selling enough, we have things in the world that can solve this, and it's a company that's been doing it for about a decade, if not longer, called Limited Run Games. And basically what they do is they'll get titles of usually digital games, and they will do a one-run pre-order a physical copy. And that has worked pretty darn well for that company for a pretty darn long time. I do not understand why PlayStation can't do something like that, if not partner with them specifically. Because I think if they came out and said, look, it's costing us way too much money to make these things. It's costing us way too much time, resources. What we're going to do is when, say, GTA comes out, you're going to buy straight from Sony. You can either buy digital and it'll be a day one release, or we're going to do a pre-order and whoever orders one will get one. It's going to arrive a little later though, because we're not going to ship them out until the street date, just to solve any, like a Grand Theft Auto problem. That's an option. Now, I'm not saying they're not going to do that in the future, because I do think this is going to come. They're going to change their mind on this based off the outcry that everyone's had. And Justin Smith in chat says, Crystal said there's a petition up to 130,000 signatures saying they don't want this. There are ways to get around this. Another thing they shouldn't have done is they also should not have mentioned in the same post, also, we're also going to be closing the PS3 and Vita stores come July 2027. That was just and also, because that was also probably going to get some fight, because the PS3 is the first time we started using the store, which is the first time people started buying digital. So you've now taken your first store, which people bought a whole ton of stuff. And if you've not used your PS3 in a while, believe me, there's already stuff that you can't get again. I bought a whole ton of Rock Band and Guitar Hero songs that I cannot get anymore because the licensing went up on it. So Sony says this. Reports are coming out saying that Sony didn't think it would go this bad. I'm sorry. I think that is either that is someone just trying to stir the pot, which is possible in this case. This is something I see many times in many different industries, and I've even seen it in my own workplace in the past, where management doesn't, and I use this term all the time, they don't see the forest for the trees. They're so deep in the world, they don't see what the outside world lives like and doesn't see the love for certain aspects of their business because they're too busy. We have to make profit because that's what businesses do. And I can guarantee you, there is at least one Sony employee when that post went out and the backlash started, said either the term, "I told you this is what was going to happen," or they kept their mouth shut. There's no way every single employee was like, "This is the best thing we could do today." I can guarantee you there's at least one that threw up their hands and was like, saw this coming a mile away. Because those are usually the people who are gamers that know exactly what this world is like. I think this is the dumb choice. And I think based off the reception that they've got, I think this is going to be pulled back. Whether it'll be pulled back forever or not, I don't think so. I do think we are going to go digital at some point. As I said the same thing when Xbox said they were going to go digital. And there was going to be, physical wasn't really going to be in their portfolio anymore. It's going to happen sooner or later. And also, I want to point this out. I've seen a bunch of people commenting and posting saying that from now on, or as of January 2027, everything's going to be full price. That's jumping to a conclusion that isn't true. I get you're frustrated, but there's no way that's going to happen because that would just kill their entire business. If you go on the PlayStation Network right now, you can find a ton of games for cheaper than they are at retail. And that's even with with EB Games and GameStop and stuff. There's been a ton of games that I've downloaded because I don't really care if I have a physical copy of it or not, that are way cheaper than you can find physical unless you go searching real hard to find one, like on a Facebook Marketplace or something like that. So the idea that once it hits January 2027, there's going to be no sales and you're never going to get anything dirt cheap again, don't jump to that conclusion because your argument just falls apart. Justin Smith says there's no reason to buy a PlayStation going forward and how much they keep increasing prices and no physical media now. Get a gaming PC. There's more advantages. Honestly, I kind of agree. I kind of agree at this point because it's kind of hard not to think that way. I mean, everything's kind of cross-platform now. It's kind of hard not to, unless they're going to pull back on their exclusives. That's the only thing that can save them now, in my opinion, if they're going to stick with this. Funny enough, even today, I've got a Switch downstairs. We're about to go on vacation, and I was like, I'd like to get a new game to play on the plane ride, and if I ever get some downtime while we're on vacation. And I've been looking online and I went to EB, and I couldn't find anything really worth it. I was just coincidentally searching top Switch games just to see, maybe there's something out of the blue. Do you know that the Switch has a Portal collection? Portal 1 and 2 for the Switch digital for $8? It's on sale right now for $8. I checked the PlayStation Network. PlayStation doesn't even have that game, neither of those games anymore. So, I'm not saying that's an exclusive Switch title. I played Portal 2 on PlayStation. So, I downloaded it for the Switch. I'd rather have it on my PlayStation because I'm kind of a trophy whore. But I just don't. No, I just don't. I'm always going to be a PlayStation fanboy until they do something absolutely reprehensible. But kind of similar with the Switch 2, I'm good with my PS5, and I didn't get a PS5 till couple years into its life cycle. So I'm not, even with this stands, I'm not kicking the door down looking for a PS6. And at that point, kind of like you said, Justin, if the PS6 is all of this and it's going to be digital and all that, you should never have to buy another console again. Plain and simple. Because the big thing of the Switch is the disc drive. You went from CDs, you went to DVDs, you went to Blu-rays. That's a jump. But this, if you're going to PS6 and it's digital, I shouldn't have to get another console after that. And at that point, buy a PC. Your TV's basically a giant monitor. And in the world of today, you can get emulators for pretty much everything. So you could just give yourself a gaming PC and just play every game that's ever been made. So, new games, $89 a pop, no physical case to enjoy is awful. To pay that for something they can just take away is not cool. Yeah, I don't get it. That's kind of the benefit. I've talked about it here, and again, I don't want to go too much longer on this because we still have 15 games to go through. It's kind of been my argument about people when I tell them how much the PlayStation Premium is. It literally renewed yesterday, and it was with tax $218, and everyone's like, you paid $218 for a subscription service, and I'm like, yeah, but the thing is, it's $90 a game, $80 a game. Let's say they're on 50% off. That's $40 a game. I play more than 6 games, I'm making money. Really. And I'm a gamer, so I'm not someone who's just I'm waiting for the next Call of Duty or I'm waiting for one franchise. If I play more than 8 games, I'm pretty much made my money. And I'll do that in a year easily. I'll at least test a bunch of them. And if I like them, cool. And if I don't, oh well, it's technically free money. I might as well just keep trying stuff out. So, yeah, this was a dumb choice. More important, not a dumb choice in going digital. I think that is going to be something we're going to have to just bite the bullet in. I'm not happy about it. I like collecting games. I only like collecting certain ones, but I think the way they did it was stupid, and I think them just kind of going into no communication since then has kind of been dumb too, because it just makes people think, it makes people wonder, it makes people come up with ideas, and that's just not going to make the situation any better. So I hope in the next few days, next few weeks, they announce a state of play or some press conference or something, because this is just not going to go well for them. And if they think it's just going to be a news cycle thing where something else is going to happen, because I saw someone say that they're waiting for Xbox to lay off people. So they're like, oh, see, Xbox, you take them. No, this is not something that's just going to go away. This is going to stick with them until they tell us a little more information. So not a good job, PlayStation. Not a good job. All right. If you guys are still here, I greatly appreciate it. If you can hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Justin, as a huge Resident Evil collector, no physical game goes forward come 2028 sucks. Yeah, agreed. And I've got all the Resident Evils on disc. So if we're not getting a Res 10 on disc, then I don't know. I guess if I want to play it, I got to play digital, which sucks, but whatever. Actually, I just started Village again because the digital on the PlayStation Plus gives me the PS5 and the PS4 version. Well, I played the PS5 version. I want the trophies for the PS4 version, so I'm going to play for it again. All right, let's do the sponsor and let's hop into the show. Folks, no sponsor. My beautiful, loving, amazing, incredible wife is always a sponsor here on Monday Night Nerd because I would not have this amazing house without her. I would not have this amazing life without her. I would not be able to go on vacation and hang out with her and hang out with her family in the next couple days. Hun, you'll always be my sponsor. You know that. It's been 150 some odd episodes. Hun, I love you, and you'll always be my sponsor. All right. I think after half an hour, we're going to jump into a really large main event. It's time for the main event. Oh, I'm going to try not to keep you guys too long because, A, I don't want to keep you guys too long, but also it is the summertime, and if you've ever watched the podcast before, I don't care what it is, what room we're in this house. This is a warm house, and I am already starting to get really sweaty. And if I turn that fan on, it's just going to blow it on the microphone. So I'm just going to deal with it. Why are we doing this? Well, I think we talked about it, but just in case, because the PlayStation thing. The whole PlayStation discussion this week has kind of been a hot topic, and I want to talk about a system that everyone kind of universally loves because this was my first PlayStation, and this is a console that, as I said in the title of this video, defined a generation. Like, it really did. This was the first video game system for a lot of people. This was the first DVD player for a lot of people because this, at the time, was the most affordable DVD player, and DVDs were the rage back then. The first DVD I actually watched on my PlayStation was The Matrix because as soon as I picked up my PlayStation, I ran to the video store and picked up the one that looked the best, and The Matrix was the one that was going to look the best, and it did. I have had 3 PlayStation 2s since then. I've still got mine in the basement. I had the big, thick mother one that I first got, and I love that thing. However, it did end up dying, which sucks. I then had, I've actually got 2 Slims downstairs. I've got one that I have, and I got one in another bundle with something else. I can't remember what I got it for. But anyways, that first PlayStation console was... I've talked about it recently here on the podcast, specifically, I think it was a couple episodes ago. The way I got that was I was originally a Nintendo fan. I grew up as a Nintendo, got Super Nintendo, got N64. And then we kind of hit the moment where we had PlayStation, GameCube, and Xbox. And PlayStation and Xbox was the new boy in town, and then we had PlayStation that was on round 2. And from what I saw with Nintendo, it was getting a little childish, and childish not being a bad thing, but I was growing up and I wanted something a little more mature, but I didn't know about these other 2 consoles. However, I did have a friend who was a really big gamer, and he had a PlayStation 2, and he wanted to change and jump to Xbox and give Xbox a try, but he needed to sell his PlayStation. So he asked me if I wanted to buy it. And this was a very large purchase because I did not just get the system, I got 10 games along with it. And I went to my mom and begged and pleaded because I did not have the money at that age to get it. But I told her this would be the console, and you know, sooner or later she was going to get me a console. She got me my N64, and my dad got me my Super Nintendo. So I said, well, one of you is going to get me a console sooner or later. This is the best deal you're ever going to find, 10 games in the system, and the games were not full price. And we ended up getting it, and I fell in love with the system. This was a system that I could not believe I owned. The games were unbelievable, and we're going to go through my top 15. I was going to do 10, but I literally could not drop it down to 10 without going through some of these. These are not the 10, this is not the 15 best ever, because everybody's got their own list. Everybody's got their favorites. Everybody's got, best sales, etc. This is my top 15. There are going to be some on here that you're like, I don't get it. And I'm going to give you at least a couple reasons why I loved each and every one of them. Hopefully you have some on your list. If you're in the chat, and if you're not in the chat on TikTok, hop over to Myers Corp Cosplay, Monday Night Nerd, and be in the chat, because I want to see what yours is. Start telling me what your top 5 are, or top 3 PlayStation 2 games are, because I want to see if some of yours are going to be on my list. So let's kick things off with my number 15. And this is one I probably didn't play a ton, but it is one that I needed to put on this list because of how amazing it is. And that is the one that I think everyone thinks of, and that is Gran Turismo 3 A-Spec. This game was kind of a staple for most PS2 owners. This one just... it didn't come with every bundle, but it felt like it did, because it seemed like even people that weren't racing fans had this bundle at some point. This blew me away graphic-wise. This was kind of the first game that I was introduced by my friend who let me buy his PlayStation off him. And he was a big racing fan, and I remember him putting this in, and I was just like, this, to me, photorealistic graphics on this one. Even now, I ended up watching a video while I was researching this episode, and even the visuals today, 25 years later, because this came out in 2001, still look pretty darn good in the cinematics. Like, you're not HD 4K, but they're pretty darn good. So I'll give them credit. They still looked pretty damn good 25 years later. And this kind of brought driving simulation in the mainstream. I think a lot of us grew up with many other racing titles that didn't really have that simulation vibe, where you could tweak the cars and tweak actual things about the cars, and not just, pick a different car that's faster. You actually got to work around with the car. And I think that was really cool. I'm glad they had that. And, I think this is one that I played the least out of the list. That's why it's number 15, but I still think it deserves a spot on the list. Justin in chat says Resident Evil Code Veronica X. So that is not on the list, even though I'm a big Resident Evil fan. And that is because I did have that game that did come in the bundle, but I was such a Resident Evil 2 fan that I wasn't happy that Leon wasn't in this game, so I didn't finish it. So, if you didn't see my episode a few weeks ago where they announced Code Veronica Remake, I am super excited to play that because I can finally see what happens in that game. Because, yeah, I played a little bit and I was just not happy that Leon wasn't the main protagonist. I remember being consumed by Final Fantasy X and SmackDown. Well, I can tell you right now, SmackDown is on the list, but which one? Number 2 on the list, or number 14, we'll say, is one that I think needs a remake. It is available on the PlayStation Network. I think all 3 need a remake, or at least be easily available. But I absolutely fell in love with this game when I didn't know really what it was. Max Payne. This is honestly something that I think Rockstar doesn't, and it's Rockstar published, it's a Remedy game, but I don't think they get as much love for this series as they should. I think a lot of people had problems with 3. I personally love 3. I actually think the order, in my opinion, of favoritism goes 1, 3, 2. I really liked it. But if you've never played Max Payne, you are missing out. It's basically a story of a former NYPD cop who's framed for murder. This is where we get the introduction of bullet time. Like, this is a game-changing game. Something that's used in many different games going forward. The cutscenes in the game are all done through comic book style, which I thought was such a sweet idea. It really brought me into it, being a comic book fan. Very bleak New York, dirty, underground, drug-infested type world. Really interested. The main song in the game is still a song that I will play if I'm ever working, if I need a video game, just kind of sort of a lo-fi in the background song, the Max Payne theme is usually one of the songs I go to. I actually have it on a list. I love this game, and I absolutely think they need to bring all three back, give them full remasters. These are the same guys that do the Alan Wake series, and I've heard in Alan Wake 2, Max makes an appearance, so that has me thinking that they are going to they're going to bring it back, and I really hope they do, or at least give Max another run, because they need it. So that's Max. Let's jump into number 14. All right, this is going to be a fight, especially with who in the chat. Justin, this is going to be probably one that you're going to, if you jump out of the show for this, I completely understand, but it's personally one of my favorite Resident Evil games. I don't know anyone else who agrees, and I get it, but personally, I love this game. Resident Evil Dead Aim. Now, you're probably wondering, what the hell game is this? So, this is Resident Evil light gun type game. So, there's been a couple. It's what they call the Survivor series. There is a bunch. There's 3 of them. I believe there's now 4 of them. I think they did one more. This is basically Resident Evil on a boat. That's basically what the story is. Umbrella's taken over. This is a ship that is bringing over some T-virus. Stuff goes wrong. Your two protagonists are trying to infiltrate Umbrella and break them down. Kind of this rinse repeat that they usually do. The fun part about this game that I really enjoyed, and I know a lot of people don't, was it is a light gun shooter. Now, that does not mean you're always in first person. You are running around in third person, and then when you aim, you go into first person. And I really dug that, because when I rented this from the video store, they gave you a light gun. And I love that, because the light gun had the little direction thing on it, and you could actually just do the whole game with the light gun. I loved playing this game, to the point that I remember probably the last time I went to my great-grandfather's trailer, or his cottage up in Barry, Muskoka area. I would always bring my PlayStation, because we had no entertainment at the cottage. It was always you should be enjoying the cottage, you shouldn't be enjoying entertainment. Well, I would bring up my game system, which was either my Super Nintendo, my N64, now the PlayStation. I would bring it up there, and I actually one morning woke up before everyone else, and I speed ran this game before anyone even woke up. No one cared that I did it, but I was happy that I did it. I was proud of myself of doing it. But yeah, this has a very soft spot in my heart, and I've gone back and played it again, and I completely understand why people don't like it, but personally, it's got a soft spot in my heart. Justin said it's not the worst Resident Evil game, but not in my top 15. That's fair. It is not the worst Resident Evil game, not by a long shot. But personally, I get why people don't like it. Same with the next title, and this one's going to be another one of, why didn't you put the other ones in this? Because there's definitely some ones that have some more favoritism, and people love these. But personally, again, I have a soft spot for this for a couple different reasons, and we'll go through what it is. And that is in the Tony Hawk series, Tony Hawk American Wasteland. Now, some people are probably saying, why isn't Underground 2 in here? Well, personally, I didn't like Underground 2 because it focused too much on the Jackass crowd, which I was not a fan of Jackass at the time. I am now. I love the series, and I like playing Thug now, or Thug 2 if I ever get a chance. I did not like it then. And Underground 1, it felt too much like I had to make my own player, and I didn't like the world. I kind of liked the original Tony Hawk 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't like the new create a character. That wasn't really for me. This one, however, really caught my interest because it was kind of more based in LA Hollywood, and I am a big LA Hollywood fan. I've always wanted to go there. I've never had the opportunity, and this kind of put me in that world, but also skateboarding, which I was also a big fan of, because if you were a kid of the late 90s, you were a skateboard fan probably. This is honestly, in my opinion, the last of the series. I know there was many games after this. There was Tony Hawk Proving Ground. There was the Option 8 or whatever the next one was. And then we get into the motion controllers and all that. But this one, I absolutely love this one. And I'm hoping the way that they're going with the Tony Hawk series, that the next remake they'll probably do is the Tony Hawk Underground. And I hope they kind of throw this one in there too, or at least make references to it. The soundtrack in this is undoubtedly my favorite out of all the games. I know there are great tracks in the first one. There's great tracks in the second one. But there are so many good songs in this. The Doors are in this. Public Enemy's in this. Fall Out Boy's in this. But also songs that I fell in love with because of this game. Again, a lot of them are California based. A lot of them are LA sounding based. So Frank Black's in this. Feel Like the House Cat. The Endless Sporadic. I've got all of those songs on my phone just in the background, so I can always hop on and just be like, man, this is what it feels like to play in LA. And this is a game that I really caught my attention, because when they first announced this game, and this is something if you're young enough to not know this, they announced this game. This was announced as a no loading screens game, which means if you put in this game and you started playing, there would be no loading screens. You were just going to go from part to part to part to part of the world. No loading. And I was like, that's weird. How are they going to pull that off? And then it hit me. When you go from world to world to world, there are tunnels that you have to go through. Like there's an airport tunnel. There is an underground sewer tunnel. That is your loading screen. And you'll notice, I love that part of it, because I actually notice that now in video games more often. If you're ever playing a Tomb Raider, if you're ever playing a God of War or something like that, and they are going through a crevices and they're going sideways and you can't do anything, that's a loading screen. They're loading the next world. And I first realized that while playing Tony Hawk American Wasteland, because I'm like, what's this giant empty airport tunnel where nothing's like there's no NPCs, there's nothing. That's the loading. It's just a boring section where you can't do anything except just ride through and do a couple tricks on some rails. That's the loading screen. So that really made me go, okay, I like this game. I really like this game. So this will hold a special place in my heart. This is actually one of the few games that anytime I go to a Toronto Game Expo or something like that, I try and find a copy of this. It's still like $25, and I don't want to pay $25 because it's more just to have in my collection. If I could find one for like $15, I would probably get it like immediately, because I would like to have a physical copy of this just to have on my in my collection. Justin said, I actually never played this Tony Hawk game. I was done after Underground 2. And I know a lot of people are like that. I know a lot of people that loved Thug 1 and 2, and I was like, nah, I kind of want to give this one a shot. And because I'm such a Hollywood fan, and that probably is a bias, I really did enjoy this. All right, let's keep going down this road. We got another game coming up here, and this is probably, I think, if not the only sports title on here. Not a giant sports fan. I like playing NHL every now and then, but I'm really not a basketball fan. I really am not a fan of NBA 2K and stuff like that. But I did love NBA Street 2. Now, this is a game that every couple years, if not every year, I will pull out my PlayStation 2 and I will play a round of this, because this was such a fun arcade game. It's arcade basketball. Like, it really is. If you were a fan of the NBC, NBA Showtime, NBA Jam, any of those games, this was the PS2 version of it, and it was so fun. Again, I'm a big music fan, so like the soundtrack really felt like, playing backyard hoops, playing at a school or something like that. Really, I think kind of the last arcadey basketball game. They are going to be making a new, I don't think they call it an NBA Street, but they're doing something similar to it in the next little while with a lot of the newer roster of NBA players, which I'm interested to give it a shot. But this one was kind of my generation of basketball. Like, this was the Allen Iverson, this was the Kevin Garnett's, this was that generation. but then also bringing in the old school basketball players. So you had your Larry Birds, you had your obviously your Michael Jordans, you had all these old school greats against your modern, your modern legends that were in the growing stages. Over the top, crazy over the top moves, crazy over the top slam dunks. The commentator on this is so cool. I can't remember his name, but I have him on Instagram, and he does little commentates on different videos and stuff. I'm a big fan of his. And yeah, this is one that I will definitely be pulling out at least once a year, if not once every other year, just to jump back in and play a round or two. So now we're going to hit the top 10. I can't remember who it was. Someone in the chat said wrestling. I think it was Boomster. Yes, Final Fantasy X and SmackDown. We got to have a SmackDown game in here because I am a giant wrestling fan. But which one are we going to go with? While Just Bring It was the first one, Here Comes the Pain kind of wins, like, easily. This game kind of changed I think a lot of people's opinions on WWE games. Just Bring It was kind of something that I've talked about different times here when we talk about video games, is that when we jump to a new console, there seems to be a downgrade in the game quality. So if you have an incredible game on, let's say, the N64, when you jump to a GameCube, if they were to do a sequel to it, it seems like there's less. And it's especially obvious in sports games. We had WrestleMania 2000, we had No Mercy and stuff on the N64, we had SmackDown 1 and 2 on the PlayStation, but then we jumped to the PlayStation 2, and Just Bring It kind of sucks. And then we get into Here Comes the Pain, and we go, they figured it out. THQ just blows it out of the water with this. The animations are so crisp. You had a stacked roster at this point too, which helped a lot. I think that was one of the best parts about this game, was we did have a peak roster at this point, which made, I think if you were a couple years later when they did like SmackDown versus Raw and stuff like that, it was good. But this was a steady 2002, 2003 roster, which was just had everybody. People want a remake of this game. That's how fun it was. Yes, there are people that have modded this game online and made their own custom builds with all the current superstars. And I understand why they're doing it. And it felt super realistic at the time. It really felt like one of the most realistic wrestling games I've ever picked up. And I think that's one of the best selling points of this, is that this is an easy and pick up and play type game. I think now, I've been a wrestling fan since 97, which means my first game was like Warzone, and now we're at 2K26. I don't play WWE as much, not just because I'm not as big of a fan as I used to be, but also it's just so simulation now. Kind of like I said about NBA Street, where just everything is so... You could do so much with... creating a superstar and changing so many little things. It's just like, no, I need something a little more arcadey. I'm not going to spend 19 hours trying to figure out like everyone's special moves and stuff like that. I only care about the people I'm going to play with. So this is the type of game I wish we had again. And I know WWE's done little bits of it. All-Star was one of them, and the other one that came out recently that was kind of a mobile game too. Here Comes the Pain is good, and I think, agreed, they should do something similar. If not, they probably can't do a full remake because of licensing, but I think they could do something similar. All right, we're checking through the top 10. Like I said, let's go through quickly. Gran Turismo 3, A-Spec, Max Payne, Resident Evil Dead, AIM, Tony Hawk, Pro Skater, American Wasteland, NBA Street 2, SmackDown, Here Comes the Pain. Now I think we're going to go into our last driving game. Yeah, I would say this is our last driving game. One that I did not appreciate. Not that I didn't appreciate it. I didn't know what it was. And this was just hey, it's got a cool cover. Let's rent it and see if it's worth it. And this became an amazing series for me. I loved this one, and I played the sequel that was on the PS4 so many times, and that was the Burnout 3 Takedown series. No, not Need for Speed. Need for Speed. I didn't like it in this one. I love Need for Speed Hot Pursuit. I loved those ones, but then the PS2 came around. Except for Hot Pursuit 2, I just didn't get into them. I know everyone loves Underground. I didn't do it for me. I don't know why. And I've tried to pick it up since, and I just don't like it. I don't know what it is. And I'm glad everyone loves it, but it's just not for me. I loved Burnout 3, though. Burnout 3 was a blast. This, again, goes back to arcade fun driving games. You know, there's so many ways you can make these games simulation, like Gran Turismo, and put all this work into fine-tuning cars and stuff, which there's an audience for. I completely understand. It's just not for me. The world being destructible, going through barricades, running around, blowing stuff up, and just the takedowns were so fun. So fun. You just loved trying to smash people's cars. It was so fun. It was so fun to the point that they ended up making a digital-only game called Burnout Crash, where there was no real racing. It was just, how do we blow the most things up and get the highest score? And it was actually a fun game. This was a game when I remember seeing the box art for it and you saw the blur going by because you were going so fast. I actually thought, I'm not going to enjoy this because I'm just going to be driving into walls all the time. But had an absolute blast in this. And then, as I said, you jumped into the next console generation and Burnout Paradise came out. And I was just like, oh, this is exactly what we needed. We needed the open world concept for this property. And they did it. And I don't think they've done one since. I think the Burnout franchise has jumped to the Need for Speed franchise. That's why there's more of a crashing side of it, which is great. I'm glad they bumped up because Need for Speed is the one, the property that most people know when it comes to driving, to the arcade driver. But I don't think you could do much more with that franchise besides what they did. Like, they hit Burnout Paradise, you had open world, you had missions, they added an island after with DLC. I don't know what else you could do besides just redo the game over and over again. So, Marcy said, my son Reese loved to play Need for Speed Hot Pursuit on the Switch. I love the Hot Pursuit series. I need them to redo number 2. They did Hot Pursuit 1. They need to redo Hot Pursuit 2. Need some of that Hot Action Cop soundtrack. Such a good band. All right, let's keep going, folks. This one is one that I think a lot of people overlooked because the reviews were not that great. But once you actually gave it a shot, it was actually pretty fun if you were looking for just a straightforward first-person shooter, and that is Black. This was one that I remember hearing that it's got destructible environment, it's got incredible sound. This is one you were just going to absolutely love. And there was no multiplayer. And I think that's where a lot of people gave up on this game because multiplayer had started to become sort of a thing. You had SOCOM and stuff like that where people were wanting that side of it. You didn't really need it in this game. Like I said, straight first-person shooter, simple, understand concept. You're a CIA agent or something and you're going and infiltrating. Basic military stuff. The gun sound in this was something, I believe they ended up winning awards for it. It was so good. They actually took the gun sounds of different, they took different movie guns and put them in the game. So like the Uzi, I believe, is like John McClane or something. No, it was Arnold Schwarzenegger in True Lies. The pistol, I believe, is John McClane's pistol sound. Like, all of them sound incredible. And again, it's not something that, if it's got great sound, it's going to be a great game. I think just it's a very short campaign. There's no multiplayer. I think people just overlooked it. But honestly, for a straightforward action first-person shooter with some amazing destructible visuals and some amazing sound, it's a good game. And I think a lot of people missed out on this one because I had a lot of fun playing this game. Now we're going to get into some controversy. Let's take a quick swig of water because we're going to have a little bit of going back into last week's episode or the episode before that where we talked about how video games were corrupting our youth. The next game on our list is one that I heard more than Grand Theft Auto more than Mortal Kombat, this game was going to destroy our youth. This is going to just take their generation away. And that was Bully. Now, this is the game that had so much controversy when it came out because this is Rockstar, the people who were making Grand Theft Auto, are now putting Grand Theft Auto in the school. Your setting is a school. You are a child. This is going to destroy the generation, and we need to put a stop to this game. Oh, I remember hearing about this every 5 seconds, and boy, did it get annoying real fast. This was it. They went too far. They can't do this game. And it almost got stopped from what I've heard. In the end, if you actually played this game, it's actually about a kid beating up the bullies. There are bullies at this private school, and you are a kid who goes in, and you are trying to be a pretty good kid, and you have to deal with all the different bullies and all the different factions and stuff in the game. This is actually really fun. I really enjoyed this. Justin says he could never get into it. I like this game. I thought it was really fun. It's not Grand Theft Auto. I will be fully honest. Like, if you're looking for carjacking, stuff like that, it's not that. But what they did with it, I think, is really cool. Like, you had to go to classes. And when you went to the classes, which most people would be like, why do I want to go to classes? Go to classes, you upgrade your weapons. So what was a really shitty slingshot, you then went to classics and you went to your classes and learned physics, you got a better slingshot. So that was kind of cool that they could do it that way. There's also something in this similar to American Wasteland that I've never saw before until I played a game like this. I'd never seen a game where the weather changes through the game. So this was an open world game, and at one point when you start the game, it's a summer, it's a spring, and then you come back in winter and there's snow on the ground. I have never seen them just do that in a game where we're going to do the exact same world, but it's going to be covered in snow. And you could just freely go through everything. I thought that was pretty dope. I really liked that when I was a kid. It really got my attention of like, oh, I've never seen something like that. I really think this is a fun story. It's not for everybody, but personally, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really cool little side quests and stuff of going to the fair and stuff, and finding a girl that you fall in love with, but then you got to deal with the bullies trying to pick on her and stuff. I thought it was fun. I definitely think this is not as controversial as a lot of people think, but personally, I really enjoyed it. We're getting close to the top 5, folks. I promise I won't keep you here too much longer. The PlayStation talk just kind of took over the conversation. This is the next one, and this is the fighting game for the PS2. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care anyone's argument. This is the fighting game because this is the game that everybody still plays in all the fighting tournaments, and that is Marvel vs. Capcom 2. This was a game that I never expected to get. This was one that I remember giving my mom either a Christmas list or a birthday list, and I was like, I want this game, and then I was like, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, because it wasn't a big release. It wasn't a well-known, like, it was known in the fighting game world, it was big in the arcades, but this was not a game that was so big in that everyone had a copy. And I remember just putting on a list, just like and I got it. And I was kind of like jaw dropped of like, I have one of my favorite arcade fighting games at home on my console. What? I absolutely love this game. I played this so much. I actually had a friend in grade school that he would come over to my house and we would just go for match after match after match on this and just pick different combos of characters and just see who can go the furthest. We actually did speed runs of who's his top 3, who's my top 3, how fast can we get through the entire game. My 3, by the way, are Cable, Ryu, and Cyclops. And we would just have fun just doing 3-on-3 fights. And I think that's one of the best parts about this game. It's just a fun 3-on-3 fighter that is easy to pick up and play, but also can be stupidly intense if you try to learn everything about it. And I think that's one of the best things about it is there are games out there that you need to struggle and learn all these things. And then there's ones you can just pick up and play. This is a combination of both, and I think they do a great job in it as well. It's also got one of the best rosters. Like, I'm sorry, we've had Marvel vs. Capcom 3, we've had other variations. This is the best roster across the board. I mean, you've got people from Spider-Man, Ryu, Zangief, Hulk, you've got Iron Man, you've got deep cuts like Jill from Resident Evil, and a bunch of others. This is such a fun game. If you're an arcade fan, you've played this game. I don't know how you could have not played this when you were in the arcade. All right, folks, we're in the top 5. This is when it gets really heated on what do you think should be the top 5. Personally, this next one, there's a reason why it is stupid expensive to get. I never thought it'd get stupid expensive to get today, but it is. Anytime I see a price on this game, it is probably double what I paid when I picked it up. Def Jam Fight for New York. Now, this one is fun. This is rap and hip-hop stars in a fighting/wrestling game. And it is stupidly fun because it's a stupidly fun concept. Def Jam Fight for New York is the sequel to Def Jam Vendetta. Vendetta did a good job at kind of introducing the concept of it. It's a fun game, but Fight for New York does it better by 100 times. The customization's better, the story is better, the fighters are better, there's way better people in this. You've got all your people you love in the rap and hip hop game. You've got Snoop Dogg, you've got Method Man, you've got Redman, you've got DMX, you've got Capone, you've got so many good people, but then you've also got people that aren't in the rap and hip hop world as well. You've got Henry Rollins, you've got Carmen Electra, all these other people. You've got girlfriends in this game. The story mode is just such intriguing. It's fun to kind of go through the different rappers and kind of see what their amazing finishing moves are, which is the signature of this game. Everybody has an over-the-top, gravity-defying finish move, which I think WWE saw the popularity of this game and said, we're going to do it with All-Stars, because that's basically what All-Stars is. It is over the top, and I know they did the next one for Xbox 360, Def Jam, I can't remember the name of it, but it wasn't received that well. There is rumor that they're going to be doing another one coming up in the next couple years, because I think we've got a world now where we've got enough people in that world again that are popular enough where you could pull this off. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see where they're going to go with this. This would not be a top anything video game list without my favorite franchise on it, and we've talked about it religiously here on the podcast. But I especially have to put this game on there because this is one of the most fun of the franchise, even though it is not a mainline title, Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. Now, obviously you knew you had a Mortal Kombat game had to be on here. The Mortal Kombat games of this generation, Deadly Alliance, Deception, and Armageddon, are great Mortal Kombat games. I love every single one of them. However, Shaolin Monks is what I think we all wished Sub-Zero Mythologies was for the PlayStation 1 and the N64. This is a story-based game. You are kind of running through a 3D world with Liu Kang or Kung Lao. It is single or two-player, and you're going through a journey, and it is an absolute blast. I don't think you could find someone who didn't play this game growing up and hasn't begged Ed Boon and NetherRealm Studios to just re-release it or remake it. And even Ed has teased it every once in a while of, let's see what the reception is. Again, it is not what the traditional Mortal Kombat game is, and that's perfectly fine, but it is really fun. You are, again, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, running through an adventure, seeing all the different cameos from different fighters. The only problem with this game is it is a horribly bad game to finish. And I say that because after, no matter what you do, no matter how hard you upgrade Liu Kang or Kung Lao, the final fight is Shang Tsung, Kintaro, Shao Kahn, back to back to back. It is a gauntlet at the end, and I love Mortal Kombat, but their final bosses are horribly overkill. I don't know why they do it, but every Shao Kahn in most games, Shang Tsung in the first one, Yes, and Justin, Shaolin Monks has a rare scorpion swearing in it. Yes, he does. I think they'll pull that from the next one, though, if they ever remake this. But yes, it is a little Easter egg if you do a certain combination of things in it. Now we're into the top 3, folks. We have to put this game on here because if I had a top PS3 games, which I will do in the future, this one will be high on this list too because this changed gaming forever, in my opinion, and showed the world that you did not just need a handheld controller like you traditionally have. Sometimes you need a guitar controller, and that guitar controller was used for Guitar Hero 2 and Guitar Hero 1, obviously. This changed the game. This brought rhythm-based games to the masses. Now, this is something, as someone who frequented arcades a lot, there were many versions of this in the past. There were many drum versions of this in the past. I remember playing many of them when I'd go to arcades. However, Guitar Hero, Activision, Red Octane, they brought this to the masses and sold it to them the way it should. I had to put 2 on there over 1 because 2 was when they were finally able to license some actual music. The first Guitar Hero game is all covers, and that's great because the covers are actually really, really good. However, once you get into 2, we start getting into the actual songs, which allowed a generation to find these amazing bands and amazing songs that they probably would never have heard of. Like, I knew of Leonard Skinner, I knew of Black Sabbath, I knew of Guns N' Roses, I knew of the Kinks, really got me. But then there's songs like John the Fisherman, which I kind of knew of Primus, but when you actually sit down and have to listen to John the Fisherman and listen to how good Les Claypool is on bass, you kind of go, oh, this is something I really need to learn more about. And there was so many bands through the entire Guitar Hero franchise that I learned of because of these games. The funny story with this is I actually didn't buy this. This was actually a friend of mine. You obviously you don't know the geography of my house, but where I live, he lived probably 20-25 minutes away from me. And he would always come over to my house. I never went to his house. We were never allowed to go to his house. We always came to my house. And we would come to my house and we would set up Guitar Hero and we would play. And we would just have a blast. There's 3 of us. We'd just play for hours and hours and hours playing our favorite songs. Then he would go home. And with Guitar Hero, because this is Guitar Hero 2, you had 2 controllers, you had the game and all that. So I, in my infinite wisdom, said, well, this is just a pain in the butt. Like, you have to drag these controllers, you gotta drag the game and all. Listen, how about we make a deal? You leave it here, that way you don't have to trek it home. If you know you're got nothing to do in the next couple days, take it with you. But if you're busy, why don't you leave it here? It'll save you the trip. It worked. And I had the ability to play this game whenever I felt like it because, well, it was just in my house. It was in my room. I might as well just play it. Oops. Yeah, that was my way of getting away with murder. And I played this game religiously. Not as much as Guitar Hero 3. My story with Guitar Hero 3 was I had it was for PlayStation 2 as well, but I count it more as a PlayStation 3 game. But anyways, I had the PS2 version. In high school, I did a victory lap. I graduated, then I went back for a year and did a year of drama and a year of communication, which was basically movies and all that type of stuff in production. So I would go to class, I would have drama class, and then I'd have a break, and then I had communication class. So what I did, because the way our communication class was set up, we had a classroom, we had a giant room, which was basically our studio where we could shoot stuff, and then we had the tech room. Well, the tech room had no one in there 90% of the time. So I would do drama class. Before I'd leave for school, I'd throw my PlayStation 2, my guitar, because the Guitar Hero 3 was collapsible. Put that in my bag and my game. I'd go to class. on break, I'd go down to communications class while she had another class. It wasn't an empty room. I would sit in the production room and plug it into the TV, and I would play Guitar Hero. And then I would come back out and do class, and then go back and play Guitar Hero until I got bored, and then they had a back door. I would just leave and go home. I don't know anybody who had a better victory lap in high school than I did. I was like, cool, I get to do drama class in the morning, do theatrical stuff, go play Guitar Hero, have a class about movies, go play Guitar Hero, and go home. I was living a pretty good life at that point. But yeah, Guitar Hero became one of my favorite video games ever, and it started with number 2. It blew me away, and I'm still a fan today. I can't wait to figure out how I can get my hands on one of those new guitars that I can plug into this thing, and I can start replaying all of the fun games. 2 more games left, and then I'm going to let you guys get out of here. I know we're running late tonight. That PlayStation talk just took me a lot of time. Folks, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Last week before. Grand Theft Auto, an incredible series, and as much as everyone loves San Andreas, I got to put my favorite on there, and that is Vice City. Vice City is still my favorite. This one, it as I said last week or the week before, this was the one that broke into the mainstream. I remember playing GTA 3, loving it, and no one had a clue what I was talking about. It wasn't until I got to Vice City and threw it in my bag after I picked it up, went to school and dropped it on the table, and I felt like a god. Everyone was so jealous of me for 8 hours that I was the first one in the class, possibly the first one in the school, to have Vice City ready to play. I'm such an 80s fan. This is just dripping with 80s, just everything about it, the world, the music, the characters. I absolutely love this game. The voice acting was just amazing looking back on it. I did appreciate it. Obviously, I was so young. But Ray Liotta, Burt Reynolds, as I said last week, having the cameo of Jenna Jameson in this and kind of knowing what that name meant without, the internet wasn't a thing then. And this was and if this game wasn't that good, we wouldn't be going back there for GTA 6. This is the reason we're going back there for GTA 6, is because Vice City was such a good game. All right, folks, we have been here long enough. What do you think number 1 is? We've had Vice City, Shaolin Monks, Mortal Kombat, Marvel vs. Capcom. If you're a PlayStation fan, this should be close to the number 1 game on, I think, everybody's list, especially if you're an action fan. This franchise is still going on today in a different version, and we're soon to be getting a TV show about it. This game is just... I can't wait to play the remaster of this when it comes out, because they are remastering the first 3. God of War 2 is my number 1. Resident Evil 4. Again, Resident Evil 4 wasn't... I didn't play Resident Evil 4 till the remake. I was out of it at that point. I know. Honestly, if I had played it at that point, I would have put it on my list. Kratos and God of War 2 is still an astoundingly good game. This took everything I loved about God of War 1 and blew it up into a million. God of War 1, I famously have said on here on the show that it is the last time I ever did an all-nighter. I just could not put the game down. And I think I had some very important stuff going at this point. I think it was around exam time. I would have done the same with this, because this was just such a fun game. The environments, this was one of the first games, you kind of got in the first one, but way more in the second one, of seeing the tininess of Kratos compared to the large scale other titans and worlds that you were walking around in. The whole story of Zeus betraying Kratos after killing Ares, thinking that he would just become the new god of war, was just a great storyline. The twist ending, the Darth Vader twist ending, as I say, I didn't see coming, which I still don't understand how I missed that. Spoilers, Zeus is Kratos' father, and I was like, my jaw hit the floor when they revealed it. But it just made 3 so much better when he climbs up and says, Zeus, your son has returned. It's just like, it makes me so happy. But yeah, if you're a God of War fan and have only played the newest two, you need to go back and play the first three. I understand they're going to do a remake, and I don't know what the timeline is for that, especially with the new Sony announcement. But if you get a chance and you can find a PS2 and play the first three and PS3 for the third one, such good games. They still hold up today, and I can't wait to replay these. Justin Smith, I wasn't a fan of RE4 either because that's where they went more towards action over horror. Agreed. Shinobi, by the way, I saw someone selling Tommy's blue shirt online if you want to grab it. I've seen people post. You send me the link on Instagram because I've had different Hawaiian shirts, but I'd like to get a actual Tommy Vercetti one. Paul loved all the God of War games. I bought him one of them. I have the God of War 3 chest that came out with the collector's edition, and all of my God of War games are all in that one. Always appreciate your podcast. I finished AON. Hey, Crystal's working on her cosplay. Actually, everybody sells that shirt. Yes, everybody does sell a version. I've seen different versions. It's the quality that I'd care about. Folks, we have run long tonight. I really appreciate you guys sticking around. I know this is a late night for you. I hate keeping you up past your bedtime. Next week, I think we're going to go back to what we were going to do. We're going to talk about Kiss. And then we're going to go into comic book. Actually, we might do comic next week. I want to talk about Marvel Civil War. That is a line of comic that it brought me back into the world of Marvel. I absolutely love the series. I think we'll talk about that next week. We'll talk about the impact of the Marvel Civil War and its impact on the comic world, because I think a lot of people have some very strong opinions on that series. If you want to follow me, you can hit up on Instagram, Myers Corp Cosplay on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Facebook. If you are a wrestling fan, follow Myers Corp Wrestling on TikTok. I do a daily, multiple times daily posts about things that happened that day in the wrestling world. I'm going to try and keep my posts normal this week. Instagram is having a giant problem with scheduling carousels. So I'm going to do my best to keep things going while I'm on vacation and just kind of schedule stuff tomorrow before I leave. But I can only do what I can. So there might be a little bit of a dead day or two here on my social medias, but I will get back to it when I get back. Have yourselves a good night, folks, and I will make sure to see you next week when we talk about Marvel Civil War. See y'all. Love ya. Thanks so much for watching Monday Night Nerd. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't